Now, while we're on the subject of unconscious humor, which you find everywhere, I'm looking at Time magazine, and I'll tell you, you just can't believe it. The unconscious humor that comes out, here's the unconscious humor of this ad. It's for a recording, see. And I say, not only is this ad a bit of pretty funny stuff, it is also, in a way, a kind of comment on the whole American scheme of things now. And you see this feckless youth, and I'll tell you, he doesn't have a feck to his name, and you can see it probably hasn't shaved more than 4 times in his life. At least he has that look, that boyish, cuddly Audrey Hepburn look, and he's standing there he's standing there by the microphone and looking kind of a little petulant. And that's really the kind of petulance, today often passes for anger. It really does. And he's looking there, and he's got his guitar, and his mouth harp is strapped around his neck there, and he's looking out, and he's looking kind of soulful. And on the top there, you see a couple lines. It says, "How many roads must a man walk down? How many roads must a man walk down? Bob Dylan has walked down many roads. For most of his 22 long years, he rode freight trains for kicks and got beat up for laughs." Little masochism there in our friend Bob. He got beat up for laughs, out grass for quarters, cut grass for quarters, and sang for dimes. And his songs today are the sounds that he sopped up in all those long 22 years on the road. The coyotes call and the train whistles moan, and the old-time pals and the first-run gals, the faces you can't find again. Yes, friends, that's the song of an old-timer who's been there. Young old-timer who's been there and seen it all and is now looking back over all of them old-time friends and those old gals that you just ain't gonna find again. How many roads must a young man walk down before they call him a man? Well, I'd say you got to walk a little more than 22 years, Bob. And actually, I'll tell you got to do a little more than walk down a road before they call you a man, actually. That's a sad fact of the matter, son. How many seas must the white dove sail before she sleeps in the boing sand? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. I call that a pretty good piece of unconscious humor. Friends and neighbors, you know, friends, that I'm now at 22 years. And when a man is 22 years and he's just a hitchhiked all the way to Trenton and back, he's taken 2 trips to Cleveland and once been out to the West Coast, he's seen it. By God, he's seen it. And he's seen all them old pals and all them old gals and all them old faces you just can't find again. And I'm here to sing to you about them, friends. 22 years now. Let's see, I was well into 5 before I started into school. In fact, I was almost 6. And by the time I got out of grade school, I was pushing 12. And by the time I got out of high school, and I did go, I was well on to 18. I'd spent a couple of semesters flubbing around in college. But I'll tell you, it's been a long, long road. I've been a hoeing 22 years. And he sopped up all them songs that an old-time singer would sop up. Well, now this is one of the most significant pieces of Americana in a long time, and that is the self-dramatization of so many people in our society, and the belief that since you've had 1 or 2 little things happen to you, you have experienced it all. You have not only experienced it all, you have come away a sadder and a wiser man. A statement like that, that kind of thing, the sort of thing to say, now here, let's just take a line here. I rode freight trains for kicks and got beat up for laughs, cut grass for quarters and sang for dimes. That's the kind of thing that a 50-year-old indigent Okie would find embarrassing to say, in spite of the fact that he really did do that, This is what's known as the this self-dramatization of so many things in our life today, and it's really funny. It's the kind of self-dramatization that used to be, in a sense, the last prerogative of the really great artist. He was allowed to do this. He was allowed to imagine. It's in a sense Hemingway. Well, it took Hemingway maybe 50 years before Hemingway even allowed himself to call himself Papa. Have you noticed too that this is the plaint of the young old man? By the young old man, I mean the guy who, on one hand, lives, acts, and behaves in many ways in his early teens, and yet at the same time considers himself old in the wisdom of the world. No, that's the young old man. It's an interesting phenomenon where at 22 he's burned out. He's singing of the old time pals and the first run gals and the faces you can't find again. Well, I wonder how many roads I've traveled at that point, and how many faces I can't find again, and how many first run